There are days when nothing feels difficult, yet everything feels heavy. You wake up with enough time, enough energy, nothing is technically stopping you, but still you don't move. Not because you can't or because you forget how, but because something inside you quietly resists starting. We often call this laziness, but that word is too crude. It flattens a complex inner experience into a moral flaw. It assumes filler where there is actually tension. What looks like lack of motivation is often avoidance wearing a neutral face. Avoidance doesn't announce itself loudly. It doesn't say I'm afraid or I'm overwhelmed. It simply delays. It distracts. Make everything feel slightly unimportant. Most people are not avoiding work, they are avoiding what the work brings up. The fear of doing is wrong, the memory of trying before and failing quietly, the exhaustion of caring too much without any visible return, the pressure of expectations that were never fully chosen. So the mind chooses stillness, not a rebellion, as a protection. This is why motivation advice rarely works. Because motivation assumes resistance is external. A lack of discipline, missing habit, a flawed routine. But avoidance is internal. It lives closer to emotion than to behavior. You don't fix avoidance by pushing harder. You fix it by listening more carefully. Ask yourself this gently. What am I actually trying not to feel? Sometimes it's energy. Starting means facing uncertainty. Once you begin, the outcome becomes real. Before starting, everything remains hypothetical and safe. Sometimes it's disappointment. You remember the effort you put in before, the way you hoped it would matter more than it did. Avoiding the task became a way to avoid reopening that wound. Sometimes it's resentment. You are doing something that no longer feels aligned with who you are, but stopping feels impossible. So your mind slowly everything down as a quiet form of protest. And sometimes it's a grief. Grief for the version of yourself who used to move faster, dream bigger, believe more easily. Avoidance become a way to avoid comparing who you are now to who you were then. None of this makes you weak. It makes you human. The problem begins when avoidance stays unnamed. Because once you believe you are lazy, you stop asking curious questions. You move straight to self-criticism. Self-criticism feels productive. It feels like accountability. But it rarely creates movement. It creates tension. Attention drains energy. This is why forcing yourself often works for a day, sometimes a week, and then collapses. You don't remove the resistance, you just overpower it briefly. Avoidance doesn't disappear when it ignored. It waits. The alternative is not discipline, it's honesty. Not dramatic honesty, not a full emotional exhibition, just a small, quiet acknowledgement. This task makes me uncomfortable for a reason I haven't fully named. That sentence alone changed the relationship because now the problem is not your character, it's your experience. From there, movement becomes possible again. Not big movement, not transformation, just motion. Avoidance thrives on size. The bigger the task feels, the safer it is to postpone. So shrink it until it loses its emotional weight. Not finish the project, open the document. Not to fix everything, touch one broken part. Not be productive today, be present for at least 5 or 10 minutes. These are not tricks. They are negotiation with your nervous system. You are not convincing yourself to work. You are proving that starting does not equal danger, and sometimes even that is too much. Sit with the discomfort instead of rushing past it. Notice how it feels in the body, tight chest, shallow breath, a heaviness behind the eyes. You don't need to solve it, you just need to stop running from it. Avoidance feeds on speed, it weakens in stillness. Eventually, something shifts, not clarity or motivation, but permission. Permission to start imperfectly. Permission to care less about the outcome than the process. Permission to move without enthusiasm. Movement does not require passion, it requires safety. And the safety comes from understanding, not pressure. If you've been calling yourself lazy, consider this instead. You are tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. You are cautious in a world that rewards urgency. You are protecting something inside you that hasn't fully healed. That protection may no longer serve you, but once it did, and it deserves respect before it can be released. So the next time you feel stuck, don't ask, what's wrong with me? Ask, what am I avoiding? And why does it make sense? That question changes everything. Because once avoidance is seen clearly, it no longer has to hide behind silence. And when it no longer hides, it slowly loosens its grip. Not all at once, but enough for you to take the next step. And that is always enough.